But you gotta warn me, I just didn't. Wait till she says action. Good morning. We'll officially call this Tuesday, April 8th session to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's Commissioner Wagner to lead us in prayer.
Lord, we come again thankful for the opportunity to serve today. We ask for your guidance and direction in all that we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Commissioner Zoller?
Here.
Commissioner Wagner?
I'm here.
All right, we'll have the signing of the journal and accept a motion for the DVD recording of the previous board session from Tuesday, April 1st, and the written index, and the DVD recording of the special board session that we held on Saturday, April 5th, and the written index of that meeting as well.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Moved in second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Approved, thank you. Adjustments to the agenda. Either commissioner have anything to add under new or old business that you would like to have?
Tons of things here, but some of them are gonna be, you know, the sheriff's building, so forth and so on.
Anything that's not listed that you want to mention, or
Yeah.
wouldn't want anybody to leave early?
Yeah, it's gonna be, I'd like to discuss briefly on the New Riggle school sewer issue there. The RTA building, the insurance that we've turned a claim in. RTA, the annex cleaning, the RTA cleaning, and a meeting that I'd like to schedule. I had a meeting yesterday with a group that does a pothole placement, new concept type thing that I'd like to talk about a
Okay.
little more in detail. So there's a lot of different things, and I apologize.
No, that's fine. We'll put that on the new business. Potholes. Gonna shorten it up here. Okay. There's plenty of them out there. Okay. The only adjustment I would have was we'll get our SIDAC director, David Zach, at the top of new business so he can endure as much of our meeting as he has time. Before you have anything to add?
No, I just want to clarify, our next meeting is Monday at 2. Is that what we
Yep.
are doing, rather than Tuesday?
Okay. All right, well then, let's start with this old business, and the CSB building is listed here first. It's the county services building.
The only thing I have on that is Dean came over yesterday and he indicated that we're having some blistering again on the side of that building. I don't know, he was gonna check to see if it was the same area that was just fixed, but it's doing it again. We just had that fixed in the fall, so it's starting to blister again.
We just,
We were
Fred
gonna put
and I
one of
just
those
looked at that.
And I just went at the health board.
Dean said he was just over there yesterday.
Okay, well, this has been a couple weeks ago, or a month ago, maybe even.
Well, I thought we looked at the wall pretty good, because Jeff and I commented about it. We said, boy, it looked pretty decent, but we'll go take a look at it. I'll look at it today. I was very impressed with what I seen, but.
Maybe they're new spots and not old
Yeah,
spots.
yeah,
Maybe
Yeah.
not the ones that were
I'll
fixed.
look at it too.
But he just mentioned that, so I wanted to
That's good.
let you know.
Okay. Next listed EMS, a bit of an update. We had the meeting on Saturday. Turn it to you, Ken, what would you like to add here?
We had our large township meeting with all the elected officials from the townships and the villages on Saturday, which was the culmination of the phase 2 of our EMS improvement plan that we started in the fall of last year. I think we got all the entities that were interested in being there. We had probably, I would say, close to 90 people in the room, 80 plus. I did a quick head count.
Ken, hate to interrupt, was every township represented there, it represented that day?
I haven't actually looked at the sign-in sheet, but I don't think every single one was, no. But everyone that we represent, we support was. I don't believe Thompson was there.
Everyone that we have an EMS,
Right, they were there. And I've had, since that time, I've had people reach out to me to get the slide presentation ever since it hit the newspaper and on the news. I've had a lot of folks reach out and get more information. The good news is we've got a lot of the local elected officials talking. They're scheduling meetings with each other, which is what we were trying to get accomplished. And the formation of joint districts is being researched at their level. Obviously, the information we gave them was very good, and it started the ball down the hill. But now they have to research it from their end as far as the government side, and I'm sure within a couple of weeks they'll have reached some sort of agreement, decision, whatever. There was a couple of things that didn't come out of the meeting that I know that they're researching, trying to answer. But I think, from my perspective, it's been very successful as far as what we were trying to do with the information phase of this project. And I'm sure there's just more questions going to come from that. So what questions did you guys have for me?
Ken, one thing that I got out of the meeting is that, I always try to look at a situation and look at what can we do, and listening to some of the different people throughout the room that day, and they mentioned that they were unaware that we're out of service so much, but then I had some people say, well, we get a listing every week as to what's out of service. So apparently we're not getting that information out to all the people that should have that. And my suggestion is at least to either the fiscal officer or a designated township trustee, that every week or every month or every quarter, however you would like to do it.
It goes out every 4 days, and it goes to every single one of them according to the Seneca Regional
So-
Planning Guideline. So if they don't receive it, the information that's on that sheet is either not been provided or it's incorrect. I checked the fax log the day after that, because our machine will log all the faxes for, I guess, forever, I don't know. And all of them say okay, which means they've been received by somebody's fax machine. I'm not calling anybody a liar, I'd never do that. But I think that a lot of times these fax machines, they print so many faxes. You get all these cruise line faxes, you get refinance your house faxes, you get all kind of garbage faxes. There's a possibility that maybe it gets missed or the wrong person sees it and they just pitch it. I don't know. But I've updating our contact list, because when you heard that was also the very first time that I'd heard that. And I'd been to every single one of their meetings and I updated the contact, and I'm trying to do things email now because it is 2014 and it's just a little bit easier for everybody to have that. And then I know that they received it, and it's sort of an electronic document is just the same as if I handed you a piece of paper. I know you got it. I know you read it.
At all the meetings that we went to, I know you took a copy and give it to them.
Right, I took a copy of the last 30 days from that meeting, 30 days prior. And I took them, which was a stack of sheets about like that. And I made sure I consciously left it with them. So that there's really no way that they didn't know, at least the last couple of months, that they've been, how much out of service there has been. And we've been talking about this. I mean, I was here from 2007 to 2010. We had these same discussions. This time, we've turned it into an action item, and we're making it work. I think what we need now, and just like I said, is we need to get those elected officials of the 3 or 4 districts that are involved in one squad together in one room to discuss one item, and that item is EMS. Because if we just throw it in an agenda somewhere and we tag it, what do we need to do about this? Most of them would say, well, I think we're fine, and move on in the interest of getting a motion to adjourn. I'm going to try and make sure this is a priority topic on everybody's agenda.
I think the best thing we can do is if you just kind of keep your nose
That's what I'm
in
trying.
all these people's business and come back and report once in a while, this township's doing this, this township's doing that, and then we keep it kind of in the public eye. And a few of us
I've heard
doing
good things. I'm hearing good things. I've heard some people needing clarification because some of the way, when I read the newspaper article that Erica wrote, I read it as that's exactly what happened. Other people read it and they interpret it. And I'm like, that's not what I'm seeing, but a lot of people ask questions regarding that, so.
Well, something I think that's been evident and it came out Saturday, I mean, with the whole group together, that clearly defined what has been stated over and over, what our two problems are. And I think as you keep track of them and communicating, Ken and I talked yesterday, because I kind of wanted to recap Saturday's meeting a little bit and where I was going with some thoughts, and then I sat down and made some notes. And I'm gonna share it with you here. Just to kind of keep, not that, Ken, I know you're doing a great job and you're gonna keep things moving, but I don't know that the others will agree with me or not. The two problems being the staffing levels, obviously, I'm just reiterating what the obvious, but the staffing levels, and then because of the out-of-service schedule, and then the communications and the understandings, the responsibilities in that agreement. And that all goes back to the whole historical fact that that agreement was signed in '79, and there's only one township trustee left that has a signature on any of those agreements and so forth. So I outlined this down to with the subheadings of preparing the new agreement, with the signed new agreement, what will happen, with submitted a plan outline instead of a signed agreement if they go that route, and then if there's no agreement and no plan. I don't know if the two of you, and we want to go into all this discussion now, but I guess I want to make sure we keep this, I know you're going to, Ken, but that they understand action needs to happen, and I think if nothing else happens, as you and I discussed yesterday, we need a new agreement because it's outdated. And sorry that the lack of communications has happened for whatever reason since the beginning over time. That's irrelevant now, moving
Right.
forward.
We tried
Let's
to
get
do
a new
that.
agreement in place.
We tried to do it back in 2005 and then again in 2007, but we didn't get much traction. So there is a new agreement being, I don't know what you call that.
Reviewed.
Yeah, reviewed, perused by the prosecutor and everybody involved. That'll be out as soon as possible, and then we'll get that. What I'd like to see is once they get their township or joint district meetings together, we go out and make sure that the terminology on the agreement is correct. It's updated into the new millennium instead of the '78 vernacular, which is, I mean, it's semantics. It's really just what words are, what words mean what to who. But we got to make sure we got the right players on the sheet, so that everybody knows who's responsible for what. And I think that's very important. If it's a contract or an agreement, we got to make sure that the people that are responsible for doing whatever they need to do know who they are.
Yeah.
And I think that was important from the Saturday meeting, and a couple of questions that I asked did not get answered. And I think in the future, sooner rather than later, that we need to get answers to those questions.
And I think I addressed both those, and that was what about the squads who don't report they're out of service? And how long is an acceptable level of out of service?
Right.
I think those were the questions you had, and I somewhat put that in here as well, under this, prepare a new agreement, that we get it reviewed, and that's in process, you said, and we discussed that with them. It's not, here it is, they got a question, we can work on that agreement, and ask them, once they say, yeah, this agreement, and let's give them, I don't know if it's 30, it's 60, it's 90 days, but let's put a deadline on that, that they need to sign it, and if it's not agreeable with the new agreement, then they can simply respond to us with, you know what, this is what we're working on. The reason we don't want to sign a new agreement now is because we're in discussions with Township X, Y, and Z, and we're working on a joint ambulance district. And if so, that's great. We know there's progress then. I mean, this is just my thoughts. And then with that new signed agreement, which technically would be nice if everybody did, even in lieu of a change in the very near future, just so we have a current agreement. But would be, if they assign an agreement, and or even if they want to stay on the old one, we can assist them. And I'm speaking, with you and for you, I guess, but with establishing those coordinator responsibilities and expectations.
Right.
And as one volunteer said to me on Saturday, there's got to be, that can't be acceptable. It needs to be in the understanding. And I said, problem is, there's been a lack of people understanding who's responsible for those coordinators. So let's make sure that the coordinator knows they submit the schedule. And if the schedule's not submitted, maybe it's a zero tolerance level, that then those local government officials get a new coordinator.
Right, and I think that what's really important is right back to the very beginning of what you said, is we need to make sure that the people that are responsible for these things need to know who they are. The chain of command has to be clearly delineated so that people know what their responsibilities are and where they lie. I think what's really important to remember, and we can't lose sight of it, is as we sit here in this room, the volunteers are currently serving our community as they have since 1978, 9, and they will continue to do that in whatever capacity we ask them to do. That's the thing. These guys are dedicated to their community. They want to be a part of it. They're not going to stop being volunteers in EMS just because we're talking about changing up the leadership, which I think is very good and very important.
Right.
And that's comforting to me to hear that come from my guys that say, you do what you do, we think you're doing a great job, we're going to keep doing what we're doing, which is important. So
Right.
we're okay. I want everybody to know that the ambulances are still there and they're still being staffed and they're still coming, no matter what we do. But what's important is we need to make sure that we clearly chart the course and then stay to it. And I think that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I just was hoping that maybe if we, once we get an agreement and that we know we can start
Yes.
looking at with them, that we can, like I said, probably put some teeth in the process a little bit to make sure we, keep it a higher priority for them to move forward. And not that they won't, but even down to the plan, the last thing I put on here was no agreement, no plan. And if, they don't want to come, they don't want the new agreement because they're working on something that's great, they give us the progress on that, and I know those things aren't going to happen overnight. It's going to take maybe 6 months, or I don't know, maybe a year. But if we know they're working on it, I'm good with that. But if they're not, and if they're not working on a plan, and then I think that's to the point of if no agreement, no plan within X number of days, then no squad.
Right. And I think we'll have a few rabbits and we'll have a few tortoises. We'll have a couple people that shoot out ahead of the group and then fizzle, and then we'll have a few that kind of sit back and watch everything happen and then catch up. I don't know which will be which or where it'll be, but I think that if we hadn't started this process and been as dedicated as we are, and your notes hadn't been quite as detailed, I think we wouldn't be as far as we are. And I appreciate your help and your support from all of you, and the community as well.
Yeah,
Because I know the community is watching this very closely.
yeah. Well, I very unfortunately got firsthand experience with this yesterday while I was in the process of starting to type these notes up, of needing to make the 911 call. And when the Sandusky County ambulance, because I'm looking to Green Springs knowing they're not coming, because I know they're out of service. There's almost too much information. I was almost a little scared, and,
And a little bit of information will scare the bejeebers out of you.
yeah,
And I'm sorry to bring that to your attention, but I'm glad that you knew where it was coming from.
yeah,
And to me, that's the most important thing in this entire deal, is if we need to know where our out of service is, because if I'd sent you the wrong ambulance, the outcome could have been different.
right,
If I'd have called a service that wasn't available, you'd have had to wait another 15, 20 minutes.
yeah,
And that is, in spades, the reason why we need to know those things.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm not making a dramatic
No,
statement
and
based on
I'm,
your
and I'm close enough
family's
to the
need.
county line, it was not a large surprise, but,
But that's why we need to know, and I'm glad that it worked out, and I hope everything's okay.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Sheriff's Building's the next item on the agenda, under business. That was about painting, fixing up. Where is that at?
Well, okay, I made some inquiries yesterday. We have a bid for an individual that would work with the inmate labor to do the project, and I didn't think it was possible, someone has worse handwriting than I do. The best I can understand out of this, it's a cost of $7,000 to do the painting, apply the sealer, and caulking and minor repair around the outside of the building. I inquired yesterday with a masonry company over in Findlay, I can't, whatever, I mean, it was the company that you should go to buy the masonry stuff, and the stuff is,
For the Northwest Building?
it's a sealer. The long and short of it, as I estimated, it's gonna cost about $5,000 with the sealer. So we've got about a $12,000 project that would be to paint and seal the block and do the caulking at the sheriff's building. And that's using inmate labor along with one professional that would direct the inmate labor. So again, we've got $12,000 price tag on that. And that's an estimate of $5,000 for the sealer because, and I think they said it can go between, what was the figure, between 25 to 60 square feet per gallon. It's $200 era. What was the cost per gallon? Was it $200 a gallon?
Yeah.
Or $200 for 5 gallon? Whatever, it equaled out to about $5,000 but again, I made the assumption, I took in the middle of 25 square feet per gallon or 60 square feet per gallon, I went in the middle. So,
Yeah, I talked to the sheriff briefly, and you won't get it any cheaper than what we've got here. You basically have Grimes Painting and inmates, what, 7,000 in labor, I think, and then whatever the materials are. So
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna get it any cheaper
Yeah.
anywhere.
but as I said, that material cost, I estimated at 5,000. It could be 7,000, it could go down to 3,000.
Sure, sure. And it'll just be whatever we use.
Yeah,
He'll
yeah.
go get more as he needs.
And we
it.
buy it, they have to order it, and gotta just,
That's a big building.
yeah, well, I forget now with the actual amount of gallons and so forth, but I figured it up yesterday, and I think we need to maintain the buildings, and it hasn't been done, and it was suggested to us by an outside contractor that this is kind of normal maintenance we should be doing every 5 to 10 years and to preserve the buildings. And
I'm thankful we can use inmates. I'm
Yeah.
glad the sheriff will work with that.
So do we need to do anything resolution-wise for that, or just,
Yeah.
we'll have to move?
We'll have to put some money in place, which, we got a resolution around the quote that sheriff had received from them. The supplies were a little more expensive. He said he was gonna check with Sherwin-Williams, to see if our discount gets any cheaper than what Grimes could get it for. So, and then he did mention in here that the price may vary depending on what he gets into with the block, if anything starts peeling off or anything, so. We have a resolution ready for 17, if you wanna adjust that, he said 12, so.
I
we
believe
have
we
to
should
do.
use Northwest Masonry, because that's, talking with Lenny Klaus, that's what he would use. I hate to use something at Sherwin-Williams that may be a substandard sealant.
Well, I think,
This is just what I got from the sheriff, so.
I think Mr. Grimes would know
Whatever he
Well,
thinks is
whatever
best.
he uses.
That's true too, that's true too.
Well, we can get the money in place, and then they can get that all
Yeah, I'd
cashed
let
out,
them
okay.
work out the details.
So you'll put that under new business that.
Yep.
And I guess the rest of you have added Fred New Regal Sewer, and the other building issues and cleaning, wherever you wanna go.
Well, okay, with the New Riggle sewer, the bills went out, and I got a call from a couple of residents in New Riggle that we had RCAP readjusted some of the EDUs, and apparently that information didn't get to regional planning, and so they sent the bills out based on the old EDUs. So I have asked regional planning to get with our engineer, Mark Zimmerman, to readjust the EDUs. I've suggested to those couple residents, or actually businesses, that just don't pay the bill right now until we get a opinion from Mark if he's gonna go ahead and readjust the EDUs that RCAP has come back with.
Well, I know we had said that we unfortunately had to put the rate increase in place because we're
Yeah.
gonna have to continue until we get something resolved. So I don't know what,
Yeah, but there's no issue on the rate. What it is EDU's the multiplier. If whatever the rate is, let's just call it, if it's $75, that's what Mark Zimmerman established, and that's what it is. The EDU is the multiplier. If you have 2 EDUs, it's 75 times 2. If you have 3 EDUs, it's 75 times 3. And RCAP went in, and I know Paul's Market is one, they actually had a slight EDU reduction from 5 to 3 or 5 to 4 or whatever. So his bill was based on the old EDU. We agree with the rate, but the EDU, and again, regional planning never got notice that there was a change in EDUs. So now, since it's gotta go back to Mark to agree to the EDUs, and I don't know if the commissioners, if we need to make a resolution to accept that new study for RCAP for the new EDUs or not. I'm not sure how we need to do that. But we had RCAP come in, they evaluated it, established a few, I think there was 2 or 3 businesses that they adjusted. Some actually went up and some went down. But that's a multiplier.
I spoke with Mark this morning too, just before I came in, and I told him I thought it was my impression, I wasn't sure that we had talked about this 2 months ago, and we're gonna go with the RCAP changes, but just keep in mind if that reduces the number of EDUs that a certain number of people pay, price is gonna have to go up a little bit for everybody per EDU, so.
Yeah, I mean, basically what they do is, let's say if it's $100,000 to maintain the sewer system, then that's divided in however many EDUs they got. You know, and then it's then multiplied by the specific EDUs for each location. So if that total number of EDUs alters, that's gonna alter a little bit for everyone else, either up or down, depending on what the overall EDUs is.
His concern was we just raised the rates, now we may have to bump them a little bit again if other EDUs drop. You know what I mean? If now there's 900 instead of 1,000 EDUs, the price may have to go up.
I think you'll find that it's very insignificant. I think 2 or 3 EDUs is all that's been adjusted, and that was according to RCAP.
Well, as we talked before, we gotta be fair, and fair is based on what their actual usage,
Yeah.
and I told him I was okay with what RCAP had come up with, and I don't know just when he'll feel comfortable changing it. I think he was gonna reach out to Holly since he had talked to both Fred
And
and I.
I've not heard from them. They were gonna have that meeting.
We just talked like 5 minutes ago, 5 minutes before this meeting, so.
Okay, and then the gentleman's from Northwest that was here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've not
yeah.
heard from them. They were
I-
gonna set up a meeting and communicate with you on the schedule.
They were trying to do Wednesday, but it didn't work out with the mayor in New Regal, so she was gonna check with a few more dates and get back to me.
Keep in mind that it's totally unrelated to the EDUs.
Right,
Right.
right.
We have
All
rates.
related to the
and
sewer,
we have
but not,
EDU.
yeah.
It all's got the sewer, but you got rates, which the Wood County's gonna help us out with, and RCAP, and then you got the EDUs, totally separate. I say totally but related.
Right.
So that's all, I just wanted to, so again, I just instructed those people, I think there was 2 of them. I said, just don't pay the bill until the readjusted bill comes through, and it's a very insignificant amount.
Right. RTA building, and you said insurance.
Yeah, we have discovered that we have some issues in the RTA building, and that we have notified Secorsa, our insurance, and they have, and we also, last week, we had a structural engineer come in, and it is nowhere near as bad as what we thought. And we had a contractor along with the structural engineer, and what we're waiting on is what portion of the remediation the insurance will take care of. And then I'm gonna make a proposal after we have that figure that it's difficult for the contractor to come up with a specific cost to take care of some of the structural damage that may exist there. And he feels it not to exceed $50,000. And so what I would make a recommendation is that after we get the feeling from what the insurance is gonna cover, is that we authorize some work on the structural part and kind of a time and materials not to exceed level. But again, I'm not ready to make that formal proposal yet. First, we need to see what the insurance is, and there's been some communication with the insurance adjuster and this contractor, and they're gonna meet and go over the whole thing. But we do have some issues that we have to resolve there.
Okay. Then building cleaning.
Yeah, well, where do we stand at on the annex, on the spring cleaning?
We received one more quote. These quotes are all over the place. And we asked for the same thing on each one of them. I got a quote for $45,000 from the last company we got. Jeff Kuhn's quote was still only carpet. I don't have an updated quote from him. He knows that he needs to, but he's only given us a quote for carpet. The other company I mentioned before was about the little over 11,000, and then the one that was a little way out of our price range was 75,000 to clean that building.
The 11,000 bid did that encompass everything?
Yes. The only thing they weren't gonna do is actually take down the drapes and wash them. They were just going to dust them off is the only thing they weren't gonna do. Everything else was, he's got a detailed list of what he was gonna do, he or she.
And all of them said they can't do it during business hours. It has
Correct.
to be after, and the price doesn't go up or go down because of that, so.
How many hours, did they give me an indication how many hours? they were-
The one company did.
Seems expensive, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
For cleaning.
I just wondered if
Yeah.
we could get some of our own people on a special, pay some overtime and get some, come in on a weekend.
Let's see. They're talking 12 weeks to clean the RTA, and this is the expensive one, the 75,000.
He has the details.
Yeah, I would destroy that one. Look at the 11,000.
Yeah.
And he didn't detail the hours, he just
Okay,
said,
okay.
total cleaning of the building, walls, wall hangings, courtroom, doors, handles, desks, shelving, cabinets, counter, fire extinguisher boxes, clean all restroom walls, fixtures, machine scrub floors, dispensers, doors, partitions, lobbies, machine scrub all tile floors, strip and wax all vinyl floors, hand scrub and finish all steps, extract all carpet, clean the windows inside and out.
I guess I'm thinking, we just hired a new cleaner.
Yes.
If we got this person, got Dwight, asked maybe for volunteers for maintenance, so they wanted to work a few weekends, maybe do the first floor one weekend and, or evenings or something. I don't know. Would that be acceptable? Would that be,
I mean,
would that be cheaper?
we can inquire if there just doesn't feel like we get enough people. Then, but I mean, you're right, I mean, it's a lot of money for,
And we have the carpet cleaner that seems to work okay. We used it on our building. We used it at public safety recently, so it seems to do pretty good
And I think the first floor just got shampooed, didn't it? Because
for
of
the insurance claim.
Yeah.
You know, you could pick an area and focus on an area with 5 people and get a lot done in a day.
I mean, if you allow overtime, I'm sure they may pick some up.
And we got
It's up to
a
you.
maintenance person out at the youth center that might want some overtime, or a maintenance person out at the gym. You know, we could throw in some of these other people maybe.
But it's more than carpet cleaning, that they want to wash the walls,
Yep, yeah.
wash the drapes, and,
Yep.
I'm receptive to that,
Yeah.
Commissioner. I'd be fine. I mean, I think $11,000 is a lot of money there, just to,
maybe you can have Dean check and see what, who we have, and then we can run some rough numbers on
Okay.
if they were in overtime status, what that would cost us, and
Okay.
at least
the
to give
money.
us, yeah,
Keep the money in our people's pockets maybe rather than,
yeah.
Okay, we'll do that.
just a thought.
All right, does that wrap up old business? Was that-
well, no, lastly here, I've, got some, it's kind of an interesting, situation. I was flying home from, on a plane here a month and a half ago and was sitting next to a guy and started chit-chatting with him, and he's from Findlay. And, he mentioned that his son has this business which it's called asphalt, restoration. And a matter of fact, yesterday I had a meeting with the mayor of Findlay, Lydia, and they use this service. And what it is, it's the system that we use now to cover patching or, potholes and so forth. They use a cold patch system, which, according to Mark Zimmerman and the people I've talked with, it lasts just about as long as it takes to put in there. And first time a snowplow comes through, it just picks right out of there. And this system here is, it's a little more expensive. What they do is they charge $130 a pothole. And a pothole can consist as much as 6 foot by 8 foot. And what they do is they heat the existing tar up around it and solidify it so that it's not a cold patch you're putting in it. Then they throw some asphalt on top of that, so it's actually like it meshes together. So you don't have this cold patch thing. I've even talked with the mayor, we've talked with the engineer, and these people would be willing to come over from Findlay and do a demonstration for the engineer, for ourselves as commissioners, the city, they may be interested in it too. Because by Mark's admission, we called him yesterday and he said, the cold patch system, well, that's what they use. And this is, also we could invite the townships in for this demonstration. He said it lasts just about as long as it takes to put the stuff in, the current cold patch system. And again, they use a heating process that heats all the asphalt up to the normal temperature when it's laid. They fill the pothole in, everything kind of blends together. So it's a new concept. This company's only been in business 2 years, but when I spoke with Lydia, the mayor of Findlay yesterday, she highly recommended it, and it works very well for them. Again, 130 is a little more expensive, but yet if you do it one time and it's as good as the original versus a pothole, and using a cold patch system, you put it in, and next couple weeks it flips out of the pothole, and that may be cheaper, but if they got to keep doing it over and over and over, this may be a solution. And I don't know how to use the right word here. They use they try to rehabilitate prisoners. Yeah, so that what they're doing is they have a mission that they're trying to rehabilitate people that have been incarcerated that are now out. This way that gives them a job. They are productive citizens of the community. So it's kind of a twofold thing. And so I was impressed when I heard the guy on the, in the plane, and I said, well, have your son come in. He called me a couple weeks ago. We had a meeting. I said, first, I want to hear it myself before I'm going to bring it up to my fellow commissioners and to the mayor. And I heard it yesterday, and Stacy was in it, and it seems legitimate. They're willing to come over and do a demonstration at no cost.
You do that on Market Street, mayor like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's,
Just
and
a
I would like to
suggestion,
invite
it's pretty
the townships into the thing. So if my fellow commissioners are receptive to it, I'll try to set up a time and coordinate this with the engineer, the mayor, and so forth and so on. It's kind of a neat little concept that is win-win.
big. Check it out, yeah.
Mark would have to buy into it
Oh,
to make it
absolutely.
work.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't make the decisions as to how roads are repaired, but it works in Findlay and they like it.
And it can work for our parking lots,
Okay.
other things like that too. Mark was receptive. He said he'd listened to it. He's never heard of it before, but for his bigger projects, obviously that isn't gonna help him out any, but he said he would listen to it.
Okay, this is a patching,
Yep, just
only a patching like for potholes, not for repaving or things of that nature.
Okay.
All right, well, we will move into additional new business in the, I'm gonna let David come with, he's got some information to share with us, I'm thinking. So let you go, so you don't have to sit through all these resolutions if you don't want to, not that that takes long.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a couple quick updates. One, we had as all the commissioners well know from having been there last Thursday, we had what all the feedback seems to be telling me, a very successful annual meeting in which we presented the annual report and had Director David Goodman from DSA there talking about some of the things that they've been doing. We're excited to use it as a launch board for our 3 new initiatives, which we kind of mentioned, which I'll add a little more flesh on the bone here, just for your information. The key point was we're going to be reaching out collaboratively with Job and Family Services, with the Chamber and several other entities, including Jobs Ohio and the state, to hit 1,000 of the businesses in this county. And that's a pretty significant undertaking that we're gonna be tracking it. We're gonna be making sure that large and small throughout the entire county, there are a number of businesses in unincorporated areas in this particular county. So whether it's on the west, east, north, south, or central here in Tiffin, we're gonna be talking to small subcontractor doing construction work, to the large manufacturers, to retail organizations, et cetera. We have a fundamental belief that not only do some of the smaller businesses have the biggest opportunity for growth, but that we're living in a business ecosystem in which everything feeds everything else. And so we believe fundamentally that if we take care of our existing customers well, that's gonna create an environment that's gonna be very attractive to new customers. And those existing customers won't feel like their existing employees are getting stolen away, and they're getting taken care of, and they're getting all the resources. So we believe fundamentally they're gonna be some of our biggest advocates and help us attract new businesses into the community. So existing businesses first. So that's really the big initiative. The second one, we were just talking to Jen Detwa yesterday, is really the 1,000 reasons why this is such a great county to live and run a business. And that's really gonna be the fundamental campaign of marketing, is developing those stories about why things are great. And I mentioned during the annual meeting, you know, the New Regal Cafe is one example of something on the county, or if it's Seneca Caverns, or if it's, you know, Big Spring and some of the history that that's had. The nature preserves that are throughout the county. So there are a lot of wonderful things in the county. Of course, Tiffin is in the county, but there are a lot of other things throughout the county that really are part of why this is such a great place. And I just wanted to express here explicitly that there's a reason why our brand is Seneca Success and not Tiffin Terrific. It's because we really look at a Seneca County view, and we believe that the strongest way to market Tiffin and the entire county is really to look at it holistically, the 60,000 people that are here, the 2,000 businesses that are here. And so that's pretty exciting for us. And then lastly, what we're looking to do in the county is help create 1,000 new jobs over the next 5 to 10 years. And so that gives us, that's kind of us putting our report card out for everybody to see. We do that because we believe it allows people to hold us accountable. We believe it makes it very clear what we're about and what we're trying to do. And so we're excited to work with the county, who's been extremely supportive of what we do as we continue to move forward. And so that's pretty exciting. A couple other things I'll mention. We continue to develop information that's useful to businesses, and we put a lot of it on our online tools and online, and one is our blog, and we're doing a series. This is just kind of let you know on starting a business. And we got a call from the mayor, someone looking at business, so we were able to direct them to all these resources, from where you go get advice to Small Business Development Center that comes down from Fremont to be here once a month at the chamber, to the folks up in Toledo if you're a high-tech business, to how do I get additional input, and what are the 6 additional sources for input? What are the 20 different sources online for developing a business plan, and why should I do it in the first place? We just did a series on paperwork, which involved everything from the How Business Gateway and going there, to what Secretary of State does in terms of how you get started. So making it easy for businesses, no matter where they're going to go in the county, kind of start up and put that information online, and then we'll be getting that out to everybody, so you know where to direct people as you get in contact with them. Of course, you can always call and contact us. So we're pretty excited about that. We've kind of launched our video on YouTube. So Seneca Video, we put all the videos we have from the annual meeting up online. We're going to be talking to people who live in Seneca County and love it, as well as business owners that love doing their business here. And we believe video is key to really being able to sell the message, because people believe it from other people, and then they go talk to those people. I'm going to say it. I'm here because I love it here, and I moved here, and I chose to be here. But I'm also a sales guy and a marketing guy, and everybody knows that. So my job is to set up a situation where people that are truly interested can interact with those who really have no axe to grind, nothing to gain. And so that's part of what we're going to be doing. And if we can get those little vignettes of everybody, from citizens, residents, old and young, business owners, just people working a regular job, on why this is a great place, we're going to do that. I was really inspired last night. Columbia High School has a tremendous arts program, has won over 70 awards. Tons of districts throughout this county doing amazing things. We want to capture all those stories on why the quality of life is great, in addition to why it just makes perfect business sense. And part of that, of course, is the fiscal responsibility of both the county commission and the cities and villages here. So that allows people to feel like it's a strong environment. And so the work that you've all done together with the administrator and everybody else is key to giving people a sense of confidence. So I'm pretty bullish, very bullish, even more than when I chose to come here, on what's going on, and I think with over the last 2 years, the 2,700 of new and retained jobs, of which 550 were new, which were the culmination of a number of years of work, the $63 million in announced new investment, as well as the 400,000 square feet that's either been renovated or constructed over the last couple of years, is a real, and at the top 10 ranking for Seneca County in the country, because it's a micropolitan, just for your information, it's a county that has a county seat that's between 10 and 50,000 population. So when we say, Tiffin and Seneca County ranked number 10 in the country, that's really an indication of what's going on in Seneca County. And so you all can feel very good that we have a lot of great things going on. So I'm very excited, a lot of good things, and I'll look forward to being here on a continual basis and continue to communicate with all of you. Just appreciate all of your support. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
David, if Tiffin is terrific and Seneca is sensational, that means Fostoria is fabulous.
Fantastic, fabulous, fast, flexible, and friendly to business.
There you go. He's quick. All right, we'll get our list of items here to new business bill vouchers.
Okay, I have bill voucher number 42. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the Seneca County Ditch Maintenance Fund 017 through 2014, putting $2,806.90 into ditch maintenance assessments. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriation for the Highway Safety Grant Fund 197, putting $904.28 into transfers out. I have a resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made to the general fund. The Highway Safety Grant is paying the general fund back the $904.28. In the title it says Maintenance and Repair Fund, it should be General Fund. Of the $904.28. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the general fund for 2014, putting $904.28 into sheriff's supply line. It appears he's taking the money from his grant, putting it into the general fund, into his supply line. I have a supplemental decrease to the permanent appropriations for the forfeited land tax fund 055, reducing the forfeited land tax line by $23,744.30. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the public assistance fund 030, putting $4,200 into equipment. I have a resolution in support of the State Issue 1 renewal of the State Capital Improvements Program. I have a resolution authorizing Nicole Smith to sign purchase orders and vouchers for the Seneca County EMS Department. I have a resolution establishing the Workers' Compensation Fund 998. I have a resolution hiring Seth Woodland as a housekeeper for the Seneca County Maintenance Department effective April 21st, 2014. He's actually the gentleman that will be coming from the youth center to our maintenance department for the cleaning. I have a resolution authorizing the lease agreement between the Seneca County Board of Commissioners, Seneca County Agency Transportation of the facility located at 3446 South Township Road 151, effective January 1st, 2014. I have a resolution adopting the revised jail reimbursement policy for Seneca County, Ohio, under the administration of the Seneca County Sheriff. And I have a resolution authorizing an amendment number 3 with the correctional healthcare companies on behalf of the Seneca County Sheriff's Office. And a resolution authorizing the purchase of a 2014 Dodge Caravan, Grand Caravan on behalf of the Seneca County Job and Family Services. Purchase price, it's all under the state term pricing. Purchase price $22,084 trade-in, $3,000 final cost $18,084. I I have a resolution authorizing the disposal of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit county-owned property. This is the Job and Families car they're trading in, a 2005 Ford Freestar, on behalf of Job and Family Services. I have a resolution authorizing Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an agreement contract with Lifestar Billing for ambulance billing services effective on May 31st. We did not put an automatic renewal in the contract prior to this, so this contract, it fell June to May. So we're doing a 6-month to get us through the year, and then we're gonna put it back on a calendar to make it easier for us. We'll do this for the rest of the year, and then it'll go to the regular annual contract. Nothing's increased, nothing's changed. And then I have a supplement to the permit appropriations for the Capital Projects Fund 215. This is from the jails we talked about earlier. This is our capital improvement lines under the jail for $17,000. And that's all I had.
I move we approve.
Wait a second, for that 17,000 for the jail, do we wanna approve that much at this time when there's 5,000 difference between my figure and his? I mean, are we better off
Starting low.
to buy the materials ourselves?
Well, I think that's what Sheriff was planning on doing, I think the one quote from Grimes had talked about may include additional charges if they got into the building and the block and found some issues. I think 17 was just a number Tanya come up with.
We can go either way. We can make it lower and then raise it if we need to, but they will only spend what is actually used off of this anyway, so either ways,
It'll go back into the fund
yeah.
if we don't use it.
So what-
Okay, we just don't wanna, because we most likely cannot take the sealer back.
Oh,
So we
right.
wanna make sure that
Exactly.
we don't buy all the sealer. I'd rather, get 3/4, 75% of what they think they're gonna use, do the job, and if they find out they're short, then have to
Right.
go back and get it.
This will just eliminate the paperwork to come back. If I only put 10 or 12,000 in there now, and then it goes over to 13,000, and we have to do the paperwork again and to increase the amount. This is just putting a little extra in to cover any,
The painter won't even know what we appropriated.
No.
This will just be paperwork that Julie has.
Okay. And we were gonna buy the materials ourselves, so that way there's not a markup on that.
yep.
I had a motion on the resolutions. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any additional comments, questions on any of the resolutions as presented?
I thought the lease with the SCAP reflected then what we had talked about. Remember, the original lease had a bunch of things in there we weren't comfortable with, and I think this accurately reflects, we're gonna do the lawn maintenance and the snow removal, and they're responsible for everything else, basically.
Yeah. Which puts it basically in line with the way any other building leases we have. They're all-
The ones that are free, like that.
Yeah, yeah. All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Wagner?
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes. Resolutions all approved. There's an additional new business and maintenance mower listed here.
Yes. Dean had come in, they were starting to do some of their, getting the equipment out ready for summer, and he's got some repair issues with I think he said it was a 14-year-old mower deck for the tractor, and so he got some quotes to replace the mower deck and also to replace the brush, because the brush, it's ready for all new brushes again. He's got to, not maintenance, he's got to grease some things, and it's gonna be almost, I think he said $1,200 to just for the brush alone, and a new one would be $2,400. And the mower deck, same age, to replace it would be about $3,700. So he's asking you to look into it. These are all state term pricing, so they're the cheapest for that tractor. And he's been trying to repair these every year. They're just getting old and having trouble getting parts, especially for the mower deck. So
So what is he proposing? We buy a new mower, or is he
Just
proposing?
the mower deck and then the brush.
In that, the brush was,
The brush keeps one of them working and then
It's
yeah,
two different,
I'm sorry, I lost.
two different pieces of equipment.
Yeah,
One's the mower
okay.
deck and the other one's the brush for the sidewalks.
So attach one in the summer and one
Yep.
in the winter.
yeah, you know, a new one was, for the brush, new one was 2,400.
Yep.
You could repair the old one for 1,200.
Yes. Yep.
If you repair the old one, is it as good as the new one? Or is,
He said this is probably the third time they've had to do this for the brush.
to repair it?
Yes, yep.
I guess I don't know what the normal lifespan of those are.
Yeah, I don't,
No idea.
no, I don't know.
I guess it feels like it's gonna outlive the, we're gonna get the lifespan of the item out of the expense of it.
14 years on a mower, if we buy a new brush and the mower goes to pot, then can that brush be used on another mower?
Well, the mower is brand new. That's the mower you guys purchased last year. This is just the deck, the mower deck that, I don't know if it's a pull behind or if it's a belly mower, I don't know which one is which. And then the brush is attached for the sidewalks, to brush the snow off, to brush the leaves off, to brush the grass off, brush for the tractor. These were all parts that we had. The mower that we had, it died. It was no longer repairable, so we got the new mower, but all of our old attachments still fit. But, so now the attachments are having issues, and he just wanted me to bring that up for discussion, to see if he could look at, instead of repairing, maybe replace them.
That's his recommendation, I don't have a problem with it.
How much for the deck and how much, so we got 5,000, 6,000?
Total altogether is $6,061.51.
To me, that's something maintenance is requesting, that's something they feel they need, where the pickup we talked about earlier, they don't feel they need that, so I kinda tend to go toward what they feel they need.
Yeah, and they try to make them last as long as they can. I know Dean does.
But whatever,
I'm okay. Like I said, I don't think they'd ask for it if they didn't need it.
I'm okay with it. I mean, a brush is a brush, but newer used, but I don't know enough about it and for me to make a comment.
Yeah. And I can have him
I'm
stop in.
overruling the experts there, and that would be foolish of me to do that. So I would support it.
Okay. We'll prepare it for next session then. I didn't have anything ready for it, because I didn't.
you say you get those through state purchasing?
Yes.
They even have that?
Yep. All that equipment's on state term pricing. Yep. And buying it local.
I totally blew past the bid opening. I'm sorry.
As long as we don't take any more bids after the opening, we're okay.
Okay. I guess let's,
We can do that.
yeah.
Hopefully nobody hung around for that.
Yeah, I didn't, I guess.
Yeah, there's nobody, doesn't look like anybody here for it, so.
Do the bid opening first.
For the Seneca Township Road 102-878. Okay, the bid is from Pre-Stress Services Industries LLC out of Lexington, Kentucky. The engineer's estimate is $46,400. The total bid amount is $49,770. And the bid and guarantee and contract bond is included. And that's the only one we received.
The name of the company was?
Pre-Stress Services Industries LLC.
What is that exactly, is this for again?
Let's see, the Seneca Township Road 102.78 superstructure replacement pre-stressed box beams.
Please press
Probably
Yeah.
bridge.
bridge.
Yep.
I'm just guessing.
Okay,
Give this to Mark and
all right. Appreciate the bid and let Mark review and go from there. I suppose it's probably within the 10%, so I don't know how that works. And next we had on here, Jenny Hoffman regarding electric contract. Yep. You want me to come up there? or-
Sure.
Sure, come on up.
Hi, good morning. Amy Hoffman from Palmer Energy, representing the CCAO. Currently, why I'm here is it's renewal time for the electric facility, the contract for your facilities for the electric meters. You've been in a program for 3 years with us, through the CCAO, and May and, I think there's a couple in June, but are the renewals. And you've been with Direct Energy. I was here a couple weeks ago and went over the process to that point. And what we had done was sent out an RFP to, I think it was 11 different suppliers. We received 6 bids back, and those are what we went over. And of those 6, we always do a refresh of the top 2 or 3. And because with energy, the electric rates, the prices that come through from suppliers are only good that day. So we knew they would be changing, but as always with all the counties, prosecutor has to review the contracts. So when we identified the 2 best prices, and at the time it was Direct and Mid-Am, and Direct is who you've been with, we also sent on the contracts for the prosecutor to review to make sure everything was in line with what needed to be in there and had to be omitted and so forth. So that process is done. We knew I would be back here today, so we just hot off the presses received the pricing back from the 2 best rates. The bad news is, as I had discussed and I've been discussing with every county, and Kirk and Bill as well, is that electric rates are going up dramatically over the next 3 years. First Energy territory, AEP territory, it's the same. It's a little worse in First Energy territory, quite honestly, although you wouldn't know it by looking at these numbers, because these numbers are not positive in any way. But due to capacity pricing being so high, and capacity is determined 3 years prior. Auctions occur, capacity rates are up. They're up because of supply and demand. Capacity is up because the supply has been taken away to a degree because of the coal production, the plants being shut down, not up to EPA regulations. And so that's what's happening over the next 24 months. And that's why the capacity portion of the energy costs, which up to this point has been insignificant because it's been such a small percentage, now it's a larger percentage. We know what it is. It's not volatile. We know what it is. It's just increased. And over the next 24 months, it's going to keep increasing every month. The worst of it being in years 15 and 16. And when I say that, I'm taking June of 15 to April or May of 16. And that's because that's when the operations have been taken away, they're being retrofitted or switched over to natural gas, whatever the case may be, to make everything within the regulations, the guidelines of the EPA. We know in 16-17, the capacity rates start to come down again. And so this May, when they do the next capacity auction, we'll have a better look at 17 and 18. But through 16-17, we know the capacity starts to come down again. So what we are recommending is a 3-year contract similar to what you had before. The 24-month contract is higher rates because you're only grabbing the high capacity and you're not being able to enjoy the capacity rate that's coming down. So what you're looking at is on this table are the increases you're going to experience from the rate that you've had currently. So this is off historical and off the rates that you've been enjoying, and we have all been enjoying nice low electric rates for the past 3 years. This is what you're going to increase monthly from what you've been experiencing.
We'd be under the large account category?
Yeah, well, what we did was we took your accounts and we split them up large and small and sent them out that way because we have found in our history that bundling and RFPing them that way does better than putting them together. So we separated them out and then we received pricing back.
Are we one large account, or are we
No.
2 or 3 different accounts within?
No, there's multiple. Do you know how many
I know
meters?
that's Tanya.
I think there's, I don't know, if you have 15, 20,
It's got, yeah.
something like that, and we just are adding three more.
Yep.
So we separate them out by their size, kilowatt hours, and by their load. And that's how we send it out, and we do that internally. So what we're looking at here is a 35-month deal. And that's the one we're recommending because you can see it's better than a 12-month and a 24-month. But that's the increase you're going to experience on a monthly basis collectively with the large and then with the small. What that fourth column shows, we're trying to make you feel better about things, but it is what it is. This is where you're still receiving a savings by not going back to the utility. So it's still smarter to shop, but you're still going to be spending more money. When we look at this May and what we're going to find out in 3 years, the capacity, I think it's still going to be on the downward track. I think what we're going to experience for the next 24 months is the highest unless more EPA regulations come through, and that's up to the government. We don't know what's going to happen. But that's what's causing this raise. If you pull out capacity and you just look at the cost of energy, it's really not increasing. And that's another reason why we say to go with the 3-year, because when you pull out capacity and you take the rate we're going to get you right now, the energy costs actually go down in year 3. So you're actually locking in the volatile part, and the volatile part's not the bad part right now. It's the capacity's the bad guy. But it's not volatile because we know what it is. Everything else is market driven. Natural gas prices, what's going on in the economy, supply and demand, so forth.
You're very kind, but what you're saying is the administration's attack on coal is driving up prices.
I'm not saying that, but EPA regulations, yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And
I mean,
coal-
that's the
coal
truth.
is dirty,
It has-
and-
It has an effect on the local person.
And that's why capacity, because I don't know how deep you want me to get in, but when they look at Seneca's facilities, each meter, by the way it's used, you have to, the most capacity you've ever used, that's what has to be on the grid. So that's, unless you can shut down, at 2 o'clock in the summer, because typically the hottest times are July and August at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock. You have to have your buildings, you have to have the courthouse open and so forth, so you have to be using. That's where that high capacity cost comes in, because it has to be available at any time. Even though you're not going to use it in January, everyone gets capacity megawatt day attached to themselves. Unless something can be done, you're stuck. Schools have a lower capacity number attached to them because they're closed in the summer. So they get a better number than most of us that have businesses that are open 9 to 5 or 9 to 7 or something. So that's what it is. I have brought, sent over the contract for Direct. Direct and Mid-American came in at about the same, but it makes sense to, well, and literally dollars. But stick with Direct because that's who you've been working with.
Do you have any idea
Go
how
for
many
it.
large accounts we have?
I can check what's on there real quick.
7, 8?
Let me check. I'm sure she knows that.
Couple questions
Yeah,
that
and
that I
I'm gonna
have.
leave you some information about
Okay.
capacity. I don't know if you want it, but
One is do you share in your profits?
do,
Yes,
how do we get paid?
Yeah, well, you get paid, from the
Okay.
utility, and
Right.
I'll tell you
Oh.
where I'm getting
Okay,
at.
sure.
I actually have a meeting this afternoon,
Okay,
and I've been approached by a electrical provider.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do is they share in 50% of of the profits they make, and they will give that to economic development in our community
as a supplier,
as a supplier.
okay. And there's a few things you might want to ask them.
Okay, and again, I'm having a first meeting today with
Right.
them, but what
So-
tripped my trigger is that they were willing to, whatever the profits they get off of us going with them, and realizing that it has to be competitive.
Well,
I mean,
absolutely.
it has to be competitive.
Right.
But 50% of the profits, they are willing to share in economic development issues within that community. And
This
that really
program-
spurred my interest there.
Okay, this program's through the CCAO, and what we put on is 1 mil, and that's our profit, and we do that with the supplier. So when we go to all the suppliers, we say this is a CCAO facility, it's add 1 mil, which is 0.001, and then I believe it's 30% of that goes back to the CCAO. That's been our program from day one with the County Commissioners
So
Association.
you do share in some
Yes,
of your
we do.
profits.
Yes.
But it goes to the CCAO, not to the local economic development.
Correct. Now, what the CCAO does with it,
We can get them all together.
you guys are the members of that, so.
Yeah.
So, yes, I mean, make sure they're competitive
Oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
see what
Obviously,
kind of
jail.
mills they're putting on, because they could increase the millage, and sure, you're getting money back, but then I would assume they're not as competitive.
And the next question, just for my fellow commissioners.
Yes.
I know from a business standpoint, we participate in that at high peak times, and it's always, in the peak summer, that it's usually from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
Correct. Are you
That,
the
and there
demand-
is a substantial reduction in electric rates if you elect to participate in that. And what it is, I know
Right,
from the
the
business
demand
standpoint,
response.
they would call you and they would
Yes.
say at
Yes.
2 o'clock
You
today,
need to
you gotta
shut
your
down.
plant down.
Yep, yep.
And it's happened to us once,
Yes, you
but
just
there is a
have,
substantial reduction in electric
Absolutely.
rates that you take the advantage all year.
you
you get the advantage
receive
of it all
checks
year.
back, correct?
Pardon?
You receive checks back by participating,
Mhm.
but you have to definitely be available, and yes, you can.
Yeah, I mean, so
Right.
you do
So
have,
that's money
and it
coming
doesn't,
back.
it's not that it happens all the time. We've had it for a couple of years, and it's happened once, where they fit in a high peak time, they would call us and say, you gotta shut your plant down. You understand where it's coming from, is everyone's based on the capacity,
Right, it's
Yeah.
peak load.
peak load, yeah.
Peak load, and we have quite a few, there are counties and companies that we work with that do that. You do sign up for that, and you have to be available to shut down, not shut down, but lower it. And I think they give you what percentage it has to be lowered, or it has to go to a certain,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
what,
and that's,
did you
and
run
if
some
you can,
cost analysis on what that would save the county?
Is there anything we would have that be enough of a load to shut down? I mean, shutting down.
oh, I think so, yeah.
Well,
I would
I
have,
mean, we're
We
not
shut down the
running.
sheriff's office.
the two biggest
We
ones,
don't shut down the
well, it
sheriff's
all
office. no.
depends on,
the two biggest ones are the jail.
But it can't-
Which that one you can't
41,000
probably.
and 32,000. The next biggest one is 117 East Market,
Annex.
the annex.
I mean, what, you shut the air conditioner off for 2 hours, 3 hours.
but can you do that at the jail?
Pardon?
Can't do that
They
in
get it to
jail, I
shut-
don't think.
shut
Well, I
down
don't know,
buildings
I
or
don't know,
something.
I don't know.
Not without an ACLU complaint.
Yeah, I think that would be considered,
Cruel and inhumane.
no,
When the administration does.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Or you have to have backup service. You know, a backup.
A generator or
Yes,
something.
yes, to go
Yep.
off the grid.
Do we have generators?
So there it would work.
oh, I bet he has a generator.
It's something to consider. I mean, it is, I think our little company is $20,000 check. They get back, and I imagine the city would be, or the county would be greater than that. It's food for thought.
So
Is this
which,
Yes, I don't know your
which
operation,
buildings
but I'm
are you
thinking
doing
running
it
a lot
now?
more
You're
energy
doing
out
it,
there for your manufacturing.
Pardon?
I would think you're running.
Oh, yeah, but I think our overall electric
Well,
bill
we only
is higher at the county
appropriate
than what it is.
$500,000 a year for electric, so I imagine that's gotta be.
we can look into that.
I just, you know,
But you're doing
Before
it right
making-
now?
Pardon?
You're doing it right now?
yes, for my company.
Right, okay.
Yes, we've been doing that for at least 3 years.
Well, I can talk to Kirk and, because, you know, we had that sister company, I don't know if you're doing anything with them right now, PCC, Palmer Conservation?
For the energy efficiency program?
Right, okay. So, that's not gonna affect what you're doing today, but what it does is put you in that program and then getting the money back.
I just think it's something, it's a potential cost savings in- that
Absolutely.
we may want to consider. I realize there's some downsides to it, and we would have to evaluate that, but, you know, if we can have, I think, what do we spend, $800,000 on energy costs?
Well, we spent 143,000 with direct energy, 136 with AEP in 13. So
270.
270, 280. Yeah, about 280 a year in electric. Wow, a lot of electric.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you say
A
we're
10%, let's just say it's a 10% reduction, that in the middle of August, you gotta shut down from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
if we're sure
and you
we can do it.
What do you mean?
I mean, if we're sure we can shut it down without getting, you know,
Well,
Somebody in
like the
trouble.
sheriff's department, you go on
And the
a
courts.
backup generator.
or the court saying, no, you can't do that. I don't know, we'd have to be sure that we could do
Yeah,
it
I
before
mean,
we said we could do it. I'm not opposed to it, I'm
Right.
just saying we'd have to be sure that,
Yeah, I'm sitting here, just my concern was that we'd have anything that would be.
It's a very progressive way to look at
Yeah.
controlling energy costs.
Yes.
I mean, if the sheriff, if the judge is in the middle of a jury trial and all of a sudden we shut all his stuff off, he might not take real kindly to that.
Do we have a backup generator at the annex?
Well,
Yeah.
what we need to determine, maybe on your end, is to figure out which buildings are a possibility. And then I'll go back to my office and talk to Kirk and Mark and see what the next step is. But if there's buildings that are, you know, large enough, the usage is good enough that it would make a difference.
And keep in mind,
Absolutely.
this does not happen. I mean, it's not an everyday occurrence. In
Oh,
the
no.
3 years, I think we did it once.
I think last summer in Toledo, I think it happened once or twice. And some of the manufacturers that are participating.
Yeah, all they're trying to do is reduce the electric consumption so that there's plenty, you know, for the residential users and so forth. And
Well, if we could look into it on our end, if it's possible to do building A, building B, building C, and then they could look into their end what it would save.
Yes, and I have to check, I'm not sure if you have to have an interval meter in place. Which an interval meter, do you know if you have one at your? Okay.
I don't know.
What's your usage? Do you have any idea what your, like, how many kilowatt hours you use annually? Okay,
We spend about 20,000 a month.
okay, well, you use a lot then. Okay. An interval meter is, the usage is checked every 15 minutes. It's not where it's checked monthly, like a regular meter. So that's how they can determine what you're actually using at that time. And I'll find out if you have to have that in place. And something like that, if that is the case, then for those accounts that we would possibly be switching, we would probably just go into we may do a 12-month. And there's reasons for that, but let's do one step at a time.
First to see what the macro savings would be.
Exactly.
And then we have to, get it down to a level that we can all live with, all the different departments. And then
Right.
we make a decision, okay, is it worth the 20,000 it saves it or not?
Okay.
And I don't know, I don't have that answer, but I think it's something that, electric rates is something we all like to.
There's probably 4 or 5 major users. I guess those would be the buildings that we
Have to
check
check
into
on.
and see if they could.
Okay.
And again, I just mentioned, we're not talking about shutting down for the day. We're not talking.
No, and it's
I mean,
typically
it's
between
literally a
3 and
couple of
5
hours.
o'clock. 3, 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
is when
Usually
it's-
2 to about 4 o'clock, that's the peak demand. They just want to get you off the grid.
So this is what we'll do.
Okay.
I'd still like to have the prosecutor review the most recent. I'll go back to the office. I will be back with you today on a couple of things. To see, to make sure with Mark Fry that if we're looking into this, does this negate us getting this contract taken care of now? Or if this is something, we do the contract, but we can still do the demand response, which
Okay.
should be 2 separate things. All right, I'll confirm. I will also make sure if it's, the interval meter has to be there and so forth. And if that is something is separate, then we either need to move forward with the contract because the prices will only be good till a certain time today. I'm not sure if it was a 5 o'clock or what have you, with direct. And if we have to hold off on this, then we're gonna have to move forward with the other things. What will happen is if we're gonna look into this and we don't do a contract now, your meters will probably go back to utility and you won't be with anyone for a month. That's not.
When does our contract expire?
May. So it'll
Okay,
be
so
sometime at the end of this month,
Okay.
because it's usually 21 days before meter read and so forth. But it's not the end of the world if you revert back to the utility for a month, because the rates aren't going to start going up until the June meter read. June of 2014 is when capacity really, it's happening. We're seeing it obviously because they're going forward 3 years, but month to month, it's not a big deal. We just want to grab it before the summer. Typical summer electric rates are going to increase like they always do. Now it's going to increase even more because of capacity. But I will be back with you.
So do we need to meet later today again to?
Or is next
You
week?
can always
I
authorize.
guess I'm confused with the urgency. As long as we do it before the end of April,
Well,
maybe.
no.
Well, other than to lock the rates.
The
in.
rates are going to keep going up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to make sure when I get back to the office, the first thing I'll do is just, tell Mark, this is what you guys are thinking. There might be a few places. Does this negate doing a contract now? If he says no, we should get the contract signed because you can see it's going to keep going up.
And the
It is
quote's
not
only
going to
good
go
for
down.
today. The quote is not good
Yes.
for tomorrow.
Yes. We have to
Yeah,
keep
but
refreshing.
I would like to at least investigate this thing.
Right,
that I'm
and
working at
we'll
this
keep doing
afternoon
that.
As a
Absolutely.
potential resource for economic development.
Oh, your
That's
other,
all I know.
your
Yeah,
other.
I mean, that's,
Okay.
I
So-
would like to turn that stone, and it's obvious we're gonna have to do something fairly quick. I understand every day you wait, the rate's gonna continue to go up. We're not in a declining stage, we're in an increasing stage.
All I caution is, and I don't know who you're working with, but just make sure the rates they're quoting you include capacity, include all ancillary charges. And if they're quoting you a 1 year, just know it's gonna end when capacity is gonna be at its highest. So there's those things to look into. That's all.
What's the price per kilowatt hour on this?
It's going to be 7. Tanya has it. I think it was 7.1.
70.
So it'd be 0.071 on your bill
0.07, okay.
for 3 years.
And what's the thing you said, capacity? And term,
Auxiliary charges.
Yes, ancillary charges, you know, just making sure that's all generation, capacity included, on the price they're going to give you.
This will be what our bill says, .071, so if he says his is
Tanya
point-
has the exact,
Yeah.
it's 7-1 something, I believe, but Tanya has it.
Okay.
That'd be the important thing to compare.
So, yeah, just make sure it's an apples to apples comparison.
Can, I'm just struggling for the, if
Yeah.
we can do this separately, like you're thinking, maybe we can.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe Monday, would that be an appropriate time to get back together and have is that a bunch more work to get another quote for Monday?
No, we can do that. But let me first
yeah,
find out
I
back at the office.
don't think the rates are gonna just go exorbitant in the next couple of days.
No.
Realizing every day you kick that can down the road, it's
Exactly.
gonna increase costs, but
Right.
we're not I understand what you're saying, in June, big jump. In June, but anytime in April here, May, I mean,
I'll be back at the office by 1, and I'm pretty sure, I saw Mark there this morning, so I'm assuming he'll be in, and if he's not, I'll call him. So I can at least get one answer, one.
I'm just trying to think, when do we want her to come back with another, because she's got to work up another
Well,
quote.
let me first see, well, what time is your meeting?
2:00.
Okay. Well, there's a few things we need to wait
Okay,
on.
Okay,
To see what you're gonna come back with, if we're even in the process anymore. And, I'll find out also from Josh how long this rate is good till. It may still be good tomorrow morning. If things are kinda quiet, then they, you know, it's only, back when we were having the crazy winter, natural gas prices were up and down, so electric prices were very volatile. So as long as everyone's, you know, kind of calm, then they may say, okay, it's good till 10 a.m. It all depends on what's going on.
I'm pretty confident going through the Commissioners Associations. We aggregate our other utilities, our natural gas
Yes.
there and some other things, and I'm just pretty confident this will be the cheapest rate. But I'm
You
willing
need to
wait
do your
till
due
you look into
diligence.
that.
And also, while I'm here and I had the thought, I will be back anyhow in probably the next 10 to 14 days, because the RFP is coming back for the 2 government aggregation programs. And so I will be coming forward to you, because as the aggregator of the county, you'll be making the call on our recommendation. So, like the same process, we RFP'd to multiple suppliers for the 2 townships.
As I say, there's a couple that must have took it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
Big
did.
Spring and Clinton. And then I have another village and another county, so we put them all together on an RFP. So I will be coming back to you with a recommendation, the contract, so forth, and then I'll let the townships know who was chosen. I'll keep them informed as I have been, and then that process will continue on. So the nice thing is, timing-wise, they should all be able to enjoy the savings in the summer months. But this is a very time-consuming endeavor, government aggregations, because it's
Okay.
a lot of paperwork.
Well, thank you for your time.
All right?
Thank you.
You'll hear from me. All right, thank you.
This puts us up to, unless any additional business, okay, to citizen comments, the general public. Anybody have anything for us? See Tom's hand?
Yes, I have a comment to make. It's about Mr. Calnow. He's done a hell of a lot for this community, for the National Machinery. The family has done a lot for this community. But I believe that this building and this lot over here is a white elephant. I would like to see you people stay away from that. We have a place for a court house over here. I don't think that's the place for him. I mean, he's done a lot to the community, but I think he's trying to get a hold of, getting rid of a white elephant on that one. Thank you.
Tom, just the direction on that, is, city council last night unanimously approved to support the study. That doesn't mean we're still open where it's gonna go, still open to a lot of issues. I mean, keep in mind, this is a 50-step process, and that was the first step, is that. Mr. Calnow has agreed, and David, you may chime in on this, to pay for a study through SIDEC and to see the potential purposes and use of that facility. May or may not incorporate a justice center, but to utilize that facility. It's a beautiful facility, it's a beautiful building that may have some useful purpose. As to what it is, if it's the justice center or not, we're not touching that until after the study's done. David, did I say anything that is not correct?
That's absolutely correct. I mean, the desire is to look at potential different uses for that building and the costs that are associated with it. And everybody I've talked to, from public officials to Mr. Calnow to everyone, agrees that a privately funded study to look at different uses for that building would be beneficial. And so what I heard at City Council last night was the idea that having a Joy Justice Center makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons, not just including cost savings, but that everybody would keep an open mind to specific location once the experts analyze what would really have to go into it for that or any other uses. So as kind of the organization that's in charge of downtown development, we're happy to kind of play that facilitation role for any property owner, whether it's Mr. Calnow or not. And so that's, as Tiffany DeMarlo has absorbed into the Seneca Industrial and Economic Development Corporation, we're happy to facilitate the conducting of such a study for a, kind of iconic downtown property.
Our desire is to heal this community and not put further division.
I go along with that, but I'm looking at the traffic flow at that area. Think of the traffic flow.
I can tell you the traffic will certainly be part of any study in this thing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I have a comment relative to that. I had kids go to East Junior High down there. And at that time, they weren't able to go up the upper parts of that building because it wasn't safe. Do you think in the meantime it's got any safer?
I imagine he was looking at renovations.
You think it's structurally sound to even mess with as far as anything public? Handicapped access and everything like that. You go in there, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. I mean, if Mr. Calnow wants to do something with it, it's fine, but I can't see putting any county money in it. Because it's all gonna go right down the drain, because that building is not gonna be a money magnet, regardless of what.
I could not support spending a dime of additional taxpayers' money for a study. But if he wanted to do it himself, then I'm very supportive. But even though it didn't come out of the $100,000 grant, did not come out of Seneca County, well, it did. As taxpayers, we all put a portion of it, so wherever it come out of, but right now, we are open to letting him fund the study, and we are open to listening to whatever that study unveils. Realizing that there are some real compelling stories why we want to keep it at the central location. But I'm going to do this open-minded, go through this open-minded.
And he's done a lot for the
absolutely.
area. Tremendous. The family have done a lot. I understand that.
Any additional comments? No?
I'm sorry, I always gotta say something. The person I'm talking with today is an offshoot of somebody that was at the PUCO. Very, very well connected. And these things of electric rates, I mean, they shop it in the market just as if Palmer does and so forth. The only thing that really, at first I turned it down, even discussion, but when they said that they're willing to take whatever profits they make from this, 50% of that to go right back in to economic development in our area, that spurred my interest up. So there's a lot to be done, but this is legitimate people we're talking about that, again, are kind of an offshoot. Apparently there's some regulations that have recently changed at the PUCO, and this offshoot of that was capitalizing on that. I don't know any more than that.
I'd ask them what their rate, they could give us, it was, you know, .071 or less.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
I'm in.
Seconded.
Moved in second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now you can all say opposed.